All right. Just when you want to go.
Yep, I'm good to go. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for coming. My name is Jim Savage. I'm the State Lead Senate candidate for One Nation and the President of One Nation in Queensland. There's been quite a bit of furor over the issue of Stephanie Banister here beside me. I'd just like to clear a few things up first, and then I'll be making a statement on Stephanie's future. Firstly, I have to say I'm absolutely furious, as is everybody in One Nation, over the disgraceful treatment Stephanie's received, particularly at the hands of Channel 7. A slight slip of the tongue, which anybody could make. She said the word "as" instead of the word "in", and she has been vilified both by Channel 7, by the newspapers, by the idiots on the radio stations who saw an easy target. Yes, Stephanie is a young, inexperienced candidate. She hasn't got the experience with handling the press. She was extremely nervous, and the press were only too delighted to try to make her look foolish. Stephanie is a young woman, a mother of 2 children, a qualified tradesman who only wanted to stand up and make the country a better place for her children. And I think it's disgraceful the way she's been vilified. And it's an indictment on the Australian press. I would also like to state that about 2 weeks ago I was interviewed by Channel 7, and the reporter asked me if I was racist, and I said no. Which race are you talking about? And the reporter answered, Islam. I pointed out to the reporter that Islam is not a race, and she said, oh. So, everybody makes lots of foolish mistakes. The Minister for Multicultural Affairs, Glenn Elms, the little short dumpy guy from Noosa, jumped on the bandwagon, as did the Greens candidate for Fairfax, and tried to stir up racial hatred. All we were talking about is a tax on food, a halal tax on food. It was not a racial issue at all. The Minister for Multicultural Affairs believes Islam is a race. He's a disgrace, he's an idiot, and he should resign, and I do call on him to resign. And he should not be trying to stir up racial hatred where it doesn't exist. Now, in regards to Stephanie, all I would like to say is that Stephanie has had the full support of the One Nation State Executive. She continues to have the full support of One Nation Executive, and contrary to reports on the media last night and in the newspapers today, Stephanie has not been disendorsed and will not be disendorsed. However, due to the threats against Stephanie's family, herself, her children, the abuse she's copped and the enormous pressure she's been put under, Stephanie has decided she wants to withdraw from the candidacy for the seat of Rankin. We have accepted it with regret, but we fully understand. Family comes first, and we do not want to put her under any undue pressure and her family under any threats. And we will say that if anything does happen to Stephanie and her family, we will hold the media responsible. Now, Stephanie would like to say a few words briefly, and then if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Steph?
Hi. With the way Channel 7 edited my interview, I was left quite the fool. I would like to apologise to One Nation, to my friends and family for any embarrassment this has brought to them. I am sorry.
So, Jim, has she got the backing of Pauline Hanson as well?
Yes, she has.
And what's the process from here now on? You want a replacement?
Probably not. The time's short. The final candidacies have to go in on Tuesday, is it not?
Thursday.
Thursday, so possibly not.
You take any responsibility for this as well? You put up an inexperienced candidate?
Look, I'm the President of One Nation. I'm the lead Senate candidate. I take responsibility for everything. I don't take responsibility for the state of the economy or the refugee boats, but I do take responsibility for anything that happens within One Nation. Yes, the buck stops here.
Did you choose the right candidate here, or did you choose the wrong candidate?
Look, in retrospect, it's easy to be smart. Stephanie is young and inexperienced, and unfortunately, she did an interview without our guidance and without our presence, and that was a mistake, and Stephanie certainly paid the price. I take full responsibility for that.
Are you hoping that Stephanie will pursue a political career in the future?
I certainly hope she does. Stephanie is still a member of One Nation. We embrace everything Stephanie stands for. A young woman who's trying to stand up and do something which is more than most of her critics are prepared to do. She's a fine girl, she's a strong girl, and I commend her totally. She has our total support, and we do hope that she will run in the future.
And just to clarify, if Stephanie hadn't decided to withdraw, you would have quite happily kept her in the candidacy and the race for the...
Well, it's a moot point. We don't know that, but the fact is, Stephanie, we do not, like other political parties, when one of our candidates makes a slight gaffe, and that's all it was, and they crucify her, we just don't dump out. We stand by our people. We're a strong, united party, and we protect our own.
One of the questions regarding the disability scheme and stuff like that. I mean, it wasn't just to slip the tongue there, because you obviously didn't know it was started.
Can I answer that one?
No. Stephanie is no longer a candidate for One Nation. She has just withdrawn. If you'd like to ask about the disability scheme, please address that to me.
Well, I just asked the question that was asked of Stephanie during the interview.
Well, as far as we're concerned, the National
I mean,
Disability...
what I'm saying, it wasn't just about the one question.
Well, if you want to ask questions, here I am. Fire away. What would you like? National Disability Scheme?
Do you regret putting Stephanie up?
No, I do not. I regret the fact that Stephanie was inexperienced and wasn't schooled enough, and we did not protect her enough. As I said, as I've already said,
protection, though. I mean, she's running for, for a seat.
Look, Clive Palmer.
She's here to decide.
Clive Palmer won't.
She's looking after the people of this public. If she wins, she'd be running the electorate here.
Clive Palmer won't even let his lead Senate candidate make a public speech, Glenn Lazarus. All the parties do it. We have to protect Newcastle. Nobody can be a candidate for the first time.
What I'm asking is, how can you run it?
Well, look, we have already said, Pauline Hanson has stated, and I have stated, and Stephanie has stated, yes, she was inexperienced and not ready for the terrible mutilation she copped at the hands of the press. She wasn't prepared, and as a result, I respect Stephanie's decision to withdraw, and I think she's made the right decision for herself and her family. Yes.
Will this be changing your process in terms of access for your candidates to the media and stuff like that? Will things be changing from your end?
No, not really. Look, this was a one-off, and we're not particularly disturbed about it. I think most normal, reasonable thinking people would understand that it was a slight gaffe. She's young and inexperienced, and I think, for God's sake, you're making a capital offence out of a very minor issue. I think the press have been very unfair to Stephanie.
Jim, is this because it's because of One Nation? Is it One Nation's sort of being singled out?
I think One Nation have definitely been singled out. I saw a newspaper on the Sunshine Coast yesterday and it had quotes of the campaign. They quoted Kevin Rudd, the Prime Minister, Christopher Pyne, who's one of the number 2 or number 3 in the Liberal Party, and Stephanie, the newest, most recent recruit in One Nation. She was up there with the 2 leaders of the country. Now, if that's not singling out One Nation, why didn't they come to me? Because they know they're not going to make a goose out of me quite as easily, or to our candidate on the Sunshine Coast. Why don't they come to the leader like they do with the other parties? If they have a question for One Nation, it comes to me.
And also, I'd like to point out that Stephanie had been in our party for 1 week, and the media are onto her, and that's really absolutely quite disgusting. We've been here 15 years, and you've just bypassed us and go to the weakest link. It's that simple.
I'm all good.
Well, I would just like to say that I'm amazed that the press, with their keen reporting, did not bother to mention that the Minister for Multicultural Affairs and the candidate for the Greens on the Sunshine Coast both thought Islam was a race. The Channel 7 reporter thought Islam was a race, and there's been no criticism and there's been no backup. And I'd like to ask why, and I would challenge Channel 7 to show the interview that was done of me 2 weeks ago in its entirety.
Won't happen.
All good?
Yep.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thanks,
you very
guys.
much.
Thank you.
Sorry to give you serve, guys.